Look at this dark and isolated country known for its boring food and harsh winters. No one would want to live there. Oh, wait. This is the happiest country on the planet. No one beats them when it comes to making sure their people are cheery. A word, please, Finland. Every year you win, we're reminded why you're so very unique. Even though you're small, you're wealthy, your crime rate is low, and you have a long life expectancy. Finland is a Nordic country in Northern Europe. It isn't as well known as its neighbours, but it has a colourful history and is full of culture. It has some laws that are considered quirky and others that make it seem the most sensible country in the globe. Finland is sometimes crazy, yet the best place to live ever. What's not to like? For a place that's cold, they have some warm-hearted people. So if you're ever feeling down and can't buy happiness, all you need to do is buy a plane ticket and go to their capital, Helsinki. With a per capita GDP that is higher than their southern neighbours like Hungary and Lithuania, and nearly as high as that of Austria and the Netherlands, Finland boasts a highly industrialized, mostly free market economy. They've got some work to do, but aren't doing bad at all. But what's been their biggest driving force? Mainly trade. Recently, exports made up more than 40% of its GDP, and they aren't planning on stopping soon. The government there welcomes FDI and makes a huge effort to do so. In the past, they've been a competitive manufacturer, especially in the metals, electronics, engineering, and telecommunications, and they are a leader in the export of technology and helping entrepreneurs in biotech, clean tech, communication tech, basically a whole load of tech. You get the idea. Before 2009, Finland's economy was among the strongest in the EU, and its financial markets and banks were spared the worst effects of the world financial crisis. But in that year, the global downturn severely hurt exports and local demand, which led to their GDP contracting between 2012 and 2014. But that didn't last forever. With a 1.9% GDP increase in 2016, the economy started to expand again, and in 2017, it kept growing to 3.3%, thanks to big boosts in exports, investment, and consumption. Before we go into the details of their success story, we can't just gloss over the historical events that helped create the Finland of today, because you have to remember, it's the happiest country in the world. Going back in time, Finland was experiencing great success at the turn of the century. It was home to Nokia, one of the most prosperous IT businesses in the world, and it was well known for being the star of the internet revolution. In the 1990s, it had the highest rate of R&D in the developed world, accounting for 4% of GDP. Although it has since dropped to less than 3%, it is still among the highest in Europe. But their growth didn't last forever. After the financial crisis of 2008, Finland was unable to recover. And after Apple's iPhone was released, Nokia discovered that it was behind the big smartphone revolution. It reacted slowly and entered a final decline. This weighed Finland down. By 2016, the economy stabilized and the national income started to recover. Then the COVID-19 pandemic and the consequences of the conflict in Ukraine destabilized the Finnish economy again. The GDP growth rate was negative in 2023, but the good news is that exports predict that it will recover this year. The recovery merely brings it back to its pre-crisis level. But hey, at least that's a start. The GDP growth is forecast to continuously increase between 2023 and 2028 by a total of 1.8%. What about Nokia? Technology firms, including Clash of Clans founder Supercell, have taken over from Nokia, creating 7 of Finland's top 10 income taxpayers in 2016 and paying over 800 million euros in taxes. It's not like Nokia is no longer used. With 102,000 employees, it continues to be the biggest employer and a significant manufacturer. Now, besides a shiny economy, what makes this country so super duper happy? Oh, there's a whole bunch we need to go over. But before we go into it, if you like this video so far, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. If I ask you about the things that shaped your personality, attitudes and beliefs, there's a whole load of things that come to mind, one of them being culture. And that is a big factor behind Finland's happiness. It's worked steadily and persistently to create frameworks that encourage happiness on a personal level. Well, if it's that easy, I'm seriously thinking about moving there. I mean, who doesn't want to be happy? The World Happiness Report examines elements that affect happiness, including life expectancy, trust in the government, average income, social support, and the ability to make one's own decisions. These are all outcomes of social structures like being a democratic government, good healthcare, education, economics, as well as human rights. They are right to be the happiest. I mean, what do you want more than that? The country provides everything for you just to keep a smile on your face. If only I could trust my government to do so. I'm not done yet with a list of positives. This list is long in Finland. It's a frontrunner when it comes to freedom and trust, which contribute to its happy state. Finns have trust in their government, public servants and neighbours. and in terms of levels of corruption, they often rank among the best in the world. Institutions and people enjoy great degrees of independence. I don't know much about Finnish politics, but I'm pretty sure you, Finland, don't have to deal with any crazy ex-presidents who spend every day threatening their own country with all manner of violence if they aren't elected again. Finland getting to the top of the list of happiness isn't something that just happened. It's the aim of the policy. I had a Finnish friend that once told me, to help individuals build their happiness, you must give them the infrastructure of happiness. Infrastructure of happiness. It's a pretty broad term and kind of hard to pinpoint. One thing I think most people consider is a decent work environment and labour conditions. Don't want to be at my desktop all day long. And that takes us to another super important factor behind the happiness. It's well known for being among the first to promote the flat working style. And that means few hierarchical levels between management and employees. Employee supervision is typically lower, and the organisational structure is designed to encourage more participation of employees in decision making. This creates more communication amongst all teams within any company. If only my boss stopped monitoring me all the time. This frequently results in a huge increase in workplace productivity and team cohesion. But the most impressive part is, this has assisted Finland in the developing of agile working, which gives employees the freedom to work whenever and wherever they choose. This is something that many other European countries have only lately begun to adopt, and many employees dream about it. For more than 10 years, agile working has been promoted, and this has had a substantial positive impact on the well-being of Finns, as job satisfaction and the ability to maintain a healthy work-life balance are closely related to overall happiness. So all those Zoom calls we're doing now, yeah, they've been doing it a lot longer than us. When I say work-life balance, I have to mention this. As a result of its dedication to eliminating the gender wage gap and its excellent educational system, Finland is the only developed country where fathers spend more time with their school-aged children than their mothers. Now, are we done with the reasons behind happiness in Finland? Of course not. How can we not talk about inequality? The number one reason for misery in so many countries. This country is unique, even in its fight against inequality. Wonders will never cease in Finland. They persistently aim to make sure that its poorest residents are taken care of, even in an era when the wealth gap is growing in the majority of nations worldwide. Many nations consistently battle with the issues of inequality, but Finland made a promise to stick with it as the top priority. In fact, Gini coefficient in Finland is lower than the EU average. They have this concept of sisu, which is the foundation of everything that makes a person Finnish. Although it's practically impossible to translate sisu into English, the closest alternative would be strength of will. It's an excellent example of this idea in many respects, including its effective strategy for putting an end to homelessness. The nation's innovative Housing First policy guarantees that rough sleepers can own a home of their own once they receive the necessary assistance. It's a non-traditional solution to a classic issue. The happiness of the Finnish people comes from freedom as well as from the country's numerous welfare programs, love of equality, and mutual trust. The country's policies are shaped by the belief that everyone must be equally free and independent, which also defines what it means to be a Finn. Now, am I really wondering if Finland will remain the happiest country forever? What do you think of this? Can it be caught up or overtaken? Let's think this through. When I heard that Finland will inevitably fall from its current position at the top, I honestly could understand how that's possible. Indeed, maintaining that position for 3 years is impressive, and it's possible that some of it has to do with chance. People in a few other nations are nearly as happy as they are in Finland, and at any given time, one of those nations might very well overtake Finland. It will be fascinating to observe how current global economic events might affect the rankings for the next few years. Although Sweden, which is next door, is presently ranked 8th in terms of happiness, its citizens may be slightly happier than those of Finland because their freedom of movement and level of activity was not as restricted during the lockdown. On the other hand, New Zealand, which came in at number 8 in 2020, might unexpectedly rise to the top if its people decide they actually relish their isolation from the rest of the world and a far harsher set of travel restrictions and economic downturns. All we can do is wait and see. Long-term success for Finland would be seeing other nations replicate its policies and achieve comparable or even higher rankings. That might also occur if the Finns determine that, given the advantage they currently possess, their current state of affairs is insufficient going forward if they don't continue to make progress. What is happiness for you? For many, it's about having a profession that fulfills them, or living in a nation where all imaginable fundamental requirements are satisfied, including healthcare and education. For others, it's living in Finland. In that regard, Finland continues to lead the way in a wide range of areas. Let's hope that other nations would follow their lead and provide better healthcare and education for their citizens. When considering how to increase the happiness of its citizens, other nations should take note of Finland's ongoing innovations in working best practices, education, social and economic welfare. Thanks for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons to receive more content. See you in the next video.